Welcome. Thursday morning, Westchester. Weather is a little cooler, not so cool, but I decided to use the backdrop on the other side of my house. Even though the pool looks spectacular today, I just wanted to alternate and let you see the other side of the yard, and as you Brits call it, me garden. Let you see me garden. This is the other side of me garden. Someone just entered the chat, the first person at 28 seconds. Who might that be? I can't tell yet. A lot of you folks should be coming in any second now, 40 seconds. And number two, number two, one, two, and even a thumbs up. Good to see you guys. I'm not seeing anyone in the chat yet, though. Where is everybody? Two and two. Two in the chat. Sandy Curtis, the first one. Hello. And BB, good to see you guys. Lee Perry, me, Nola Mom. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Liam, hey Bill, hey Liam, how are you, buddy? You're showing up a lot. Rachella is here, so undoubtedly Pete cannot be far behind. He's very close. Catherine M, hello from New Hampshire. Beautiful Thursday. I don't know what's the weather supposed to be like this weekend. I don't know. It seems like you get to the weekend and hey Margaret, how are you? You get to the weekend and then all of a sudden it decides it's going to rain, you know. So, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather for this weekend. I could certainly go in my pool this weekend if I choose to do so. It's ready. In fact, I even saw my pool guy fixing up the pool today. Nola Mom, hot and humid in New Orleans. Nolans. Hey, Lieutenant Pete, Harlem Raiders is in the chat. Good to see you. So guys, yeah, so I don't mean to sound snobby that I have a pool guy. I'm just useless doing stuff like that. Having your pool ready is like a science, you know. It's you got to really know what the hell you're doing. Jakey, hi Phil. I'm watching an events in Queens Jubilee here in UK, so I will catch up on replay. Enjoy your day. You too. Germinator Patty and BB Lee Perry. Hi Lieutenant Pete. Lieutenant Pete's a celebrity in this in the police off the cuff family, that's for sure. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on, right? There was another allegedly active shooter last night at a hospital, but in Tulsa. But it seems like it was more of like a workplace violence type thing where 3 people were killed that were targeted specifically, from what I understand. I didn't... Milwaukee civilian, very jealous of your hoity-toity pool. Believe me, it's not a hoity-toity pool. When I bought this house in 2004, I think it was, the pool was here, so it came with the house. So, or else I don't think I would have. Barbara Ann, looks like the Tulsa police did it right. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing so far right now. You know, that the Tulsa police did it right, and I'm going to look into that case a little more, and to see how it different from the response in Uvalde. Pauline Rob, I need a cute pool guy. Well, pool guys they work hard, man. They got to bounce around all over the damn neighborhood and make sure people's pools are ready for the big weekends, you know. And that's what my guy does. His name is Floyd. We call him Pink Floyd, you know. Pink Floyd fixing the pool. So tonight I got a very big show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have 2 great guests. Nassau County Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, super guy, and also former Yonkers Police Commissioner Edmund Hartnett, who was also an NYPD deputy chief. Great guy. He's been on the show before, and so is Patrick Ryder. And I'm really very privileged and honored to have both of them on the show. And we're going to talk about Uvalde, the active shooting in Uvalde, and how they're doing innovative things in Nassau County to prevent these active shooter incidents. And of course, during the last few weeks, there was the shooting on the train in New York City, and there was also the shooting in Buffalo, the active shooter in Buffalo, who was also a white supremacist. And then, of course, we just had the shooting in Uvalde. So the Second Amendment and these topics active shooters is on everyone's mind, and I'm sure police departments across the nation are making sure that they are up to date on the training for their personnel. So very much in the forefront. Number one fan. How are you, number one fan? How are you? Tana, Family Memories. Good to see you, Tana, Family Memories. It's beautiful like today, but it's supposed to, later on, it's supposed to have some big thunderstorms, thunder showers, whatever you want to call it, you know. But I took down all the umbrellas in my yard, you know, as per the commander-in-chief of this family, my wife's text. Would you please take down the umbrellas? There's supposed to be a... I don't want to imitate her because it'll get back to her some way. I'm good, number one fan. Very good. Glad that you're here. Glad that you're supporting Police Off the Cuff. Kim Alliston, hi Bill, mods, and everyone in the chat singing our garden as sunshine has arrived this afternoon, although we have no pool. April Harvin, hey Bill, how are you? I'm doing well, April. Paul Escudero, Yosiko Gun Lobby, TW, I can't, it went by too fast. Pauline Buckles, yes, but the Brits call it, they don't call it a yard, they call it a garden. They see it, you're golden. Oh, I love you, golden. It's such a beautiful golden. I like that red tree in the back of your golden. Yes, Schmitty, we were talking about that in Tulsa, I believe it was. I think in that incident, the police were right on top of it, but the perpetrator killed himself, which is how many of these incidents end. But they wreak their havoc and then they kill themselves. And that's part of this craziness that we're living through right now. And let's hope that security can match or exceed the level of some of these people. And prevention is a big thing. I think they actually prevented a potential active shooter in Suffolk County, Long Island. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before through, Sarah Wood, how are you? Through intelligence, through getting right on it of these kids posting stuff on social media. And the police got right on it. These are threats, terroristic threats, and they have to be right on it. And I think they did get right on it, and they prevented it. Lee Perry, yes, it was such a mess up at Uvalde. It's hard to imagine for all. So now all those police stood there listening to shots and calls. Yeah, you know, Lee, I can't defend that. When the more and more we learn about that, first of all, we're going to talk about that tonight. But one of the big things is that the police chief, who was the on-scene commander, seemed to be highly unqualified to be the on-scene commander for such an incident. He was the chief of a six-man department that was had to do with the Board of Education. So they needed to have more of a field commander, more of an experienced chief that had more street experience than Pete. I don't have his exact name, Pete Accomando, or I don't have his exact name. You know, Sarah, it's what's going on is, you know, it's endemic to, you know, the U.S. We have a lot of freedoms, and cutting back on these freedoms, would they prevent some of these crimes? Peter Arredondo, Milwaukee civilian, you're right. I didn't have my notes with me. I used to work with a guy named Accomando. Yeah, Arredondo is his name. And apparently he had just been elected to the city council. So it seems like he's more of a politician than a police commander. So there's a lot of criticism, of course, warranted criticism about the response to that incident. And apparently Pete Arredondo and many police that are associated with this event right now will not be interviewed as part of the investigation that's going forward. And they're going to have to be interviewed at some point. But that's somewhat indicative of, they realize, I think, that there's going to be a huge civil case out of this incident. And I mean, just look, it's today's Thursday. It happened last Tuesday. It's 9 days old, and we're already talking about this stuff. It's just a horrible situation. But you know, there's going to be a lot of people critiquing this. I know Former NYPD Police Commissioner Bill Bratton weighed in on it, and he said it was one of the most horrendous police responses that he's ever seen. And so did Ed Davis of the Boston Police Department, the chief who was in charge of the Boston Marathon investigation and response. He said the same thing. So obviously, Jimmy May, Biden to speak on guns tonight, politically driven. Of course, it's, you know, the big question is, a lot of these people, they just want to get rid of the Second Amendment and take away people's rights to protect themselves. But yet ask any politician, they're not willing to take away their own security. They'll always have armed security. So that tells you a lot about them, you know. And I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe there has to be some tweaks to it. But both sides get outrageous when things like this happen. The left wants to just confiscate. That's what they want. Confiscation of firearms will never, ever happen in this country. It will never happen. People will not put up with that. Would Arredondo, or whatever his name is, be one of the ones going in? No, I think he would have been the one giving the order to go in. You know, I know, like with the NYPD, the emergency service lieutenant is leading the charge, and he's going in with his men. And that should be the case. You know, we had some great commanders in the NYPD, one who was one of the best, Chief of Department Louis Anamone. He would have been going through the door first, I guarantee you, you know. So leadership like that. Ed Davis from Boston Police said, it wasn't a failure of training. It wasn't a failure of knowing what to do. It was a failure of leadership, indicating that the person in charge made the wrong call, made exactly a horrendous call. And Mary Williamson, hi Bill and team, good to see you, Mary. Peter Pranzo, Burr, but I know there's a guy with almost the same name in Uvalde. Sarah Wood, I don't understand the lack of concern by law enforcement in Uvalde. Will he be forced out of his position at any point? I think he already is out of his position. I think he ran for the city council, and prior to this occurring, he was elected. So he already has a different job. Whether he'll survive the scrutiny of this case is another thing. He may not survive the scrutiny, and he may lose the job on the city council. Milwaukee civilian, yeah, I agree we need some changes, but you know, it's the extremes of the changes that need to be agreed on. You know, just the other night, Biden segued from AR-15s to 9mm. All of a sudden wanted 9mm banned. Like, dude, you obviously know nothing about guns. He's saying 9mm can blow out a lung. I'm just like, this guy is so misinformed. Embarrassing how little they know, and they start pontificating about subjects they know nothing about. You know, and it's one side sees it this way and another side sees it that way. And we need them to come in somewhere in the middle. And that doesn't appear to be happening. You know, when you get the President of the United States all of a sudden segues from AR-15s to 9mm, and now 9mm are horrible. Sarah Wood, I don't wish bad luck on anybody, but I hope he doesn't have any position. You're talking about Arredondo. Yeah. I think there's going to be a huge movement to push him out of... I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is 9 days after this incident. And he made the wrong decision. And unfortunately, it's not a decision that you can just excuse and just say, oh, he made a wrong decision, and say, oh, everyone makes mistakes. No, this was a wrong decision that resulted in 19 children and 2 adults being slaughtered by an active shooter. Perhaps if they would have went in earlier, many kids could have spared being shot. Many kids wouldn't have bled out. They could have saved the lives of many of these kids, but we'll never know because it took so long to make that decision to go in. And I think that the Border Patrol police, they went in without his blessing. They said, we're going in, you know. Liam, you just hit it on the head. The strangest thing is that none of the 19 cops tried to overrule his orders. You know, I said very early on in this case is that law enforcement officers are taught in the academy coming up that you must follow lawful orders. I would argue that standing outside that door, hearing gunshots and kids screaming, that the orders to hold back, well, it was not a lawful order. I would argue that, all right? And I think the officers could have disobeyed those orders, went through that door with zero repercussions because they would have saved the lives of many kids. So some people objected to my position on that. Some military people. Oh, no, it is true. On the police service, you only have to obey lawful orders. And I would submit to you that in this instance, the orders being given to these officers standing outside that door were not lawful. So anyone that wants to weigh in on that, Lieutenant Pete, I don't know, you were a commander. Am I not correct in that assessment? I'd love to hear what you think about it. Because I think in life and death situations, what is a lawful order when someone goes against, to me, what seems as to be common sense? No, it's all our training taught us. Peter Pranzo, Harlem Raiders, agree, Bill, we go in. You see that? So all training for the response to active shooters is that you go in and confront the active shooter. You don't wait. The whole term active shooter means that the person is going to keep shooting and keep killing until he's stopped. So therefore, the training and the posture of law enforcement is to confront and terminate and take out the active shooter. So the orders that this Arredondo gave was totally against all the training they had, totally against anyone's instincts, and it was a huge, huge mistake. Sana Elise Hoth Johnson. Good evening, Sergeant Bill. Much love from Norway. Great to see you, Sana. Always great to see you guys from other countries, to see how things are going on here. Antonio, good to see you. So yeah, we're in a different part today. I decided to just report from the other side of my yard. Burr, must be evening in Norway. Yeah, it's around 12:30, 12:45 right now in New York, Westchester County. Jimmy May, law enforcement should make a hell of a lot more money. Yeah, Jimmy May, that's a whole different topic. I agree with you. Ian Heslop, I completely agree with you. Why would you wait outside on an active shooter? It was poor leadership. It was a big mistake. Ed Davis from Boston just said a failure in leadership. Bill Bratton said he was embarrassed to be part of law enforcement because of that decision. We're going to find out more and more. Here I am talking about the case that we're going to be talking about this evening on the show. We're going to find out a lot more as more of the investigation goes forward. With respect, Bill, SCOTUS has already found in two important decisions that you're saying that the commander on the scene at Uvalde cannot be charged criminally. I wouldn't suspect that he would be, but I suspect that civilly, it's a huge civil case. And I'm sure the people that lost kids, little children, aren't thinking about a civil case right now. They're grieving and they're thinking about the loss of loved ones. And of course, they probably are thinking, could my child have been saved with a better police response? Bill, could there be a much more to this scenario that's portrayed in the media? I mean, to go sitting there for an hour, the whole story is bizarre. It is bizarre, but I think if you look at it through the prism of failed leadership, it's understandable. And I've spoken about this before in the NYPD. It's clearly spelled out in our patrol guide that at the scene of a major incident, the highest ranking uniformed member of the service from patrol services is in charge. So therefore, if it's a captain, it's a captain, but he needs to be from patrol. So from patrol services, it's spelled out. No civilian, say a deputy commissioner, can come to a major incident and say, okay, I'm going to assume command. No, you're not. It's in our procedures that the highest ranking uniformed member of the service from patrol services is in command, unless at some point the chief of department, chief of patrol shows up, and then they can relieve the highest ranking member of patrol services from command. But if you also notice, chief of department is a uniformed member of the service. Chief of patrol is a uniformed member of the service. So it's spelled out specifically for a reason. Who should have been in command in Uvalde? Would anyone say that the school chief had 6 officers under his command, probably the least amount of experience in a patrol or crime fighting, probably also as far as training. Antonio, if anyone thinks the 19 officers wanted to wait after this decree, they had an order to hold, big mistake. The order was not lawful. Antonio, I don't think any of those officers wanted to wait. I think they wanted to take that door, but they were ordered not to. But I think at some point, when you're hearing gunshots go off, and you're hearing kids scream, and not just that, they're getting 911 phone calls. That was another big thing about this. Was there anyone of the 19? Or was that chief on the scene? Were any of them receiving the phone calls, or were they apprised of the phone calls that were being made from inside that room saying he's still shooting us? Come in, people are dying. Did any of them get that information? And that can be an era of technology. I know that the NYPD now, every single officer has a phone, and they can actually speak to the 911 operator or even the caller, the 911 caller. So it's great. Look, so many things went wrong. As the investigation proceeds here, we're going to find out even more things that went wrong, Ramona Madrid, the highest rank with the most seniority on the scene, should take control. And well, in the NYPD, it's the highest ranking member of the service, uniformed member of the service from patrol services is in command. All right. Antonio, was he giving them the information? PD can call central. Look, we don't know if the commander on the scene in Uvalde had the information that young kids were calling from in that classroom, calling 911, saying, come in, help us. He's shooting us. Kids are dying. Did he have that information? But he didn't even need that information. You could hear the gunshots going off. Where was the commander, the on-scene commander? Was he on the scene? Was he in fact on the scene? Do we know that yet? I don't even know if we actually know that. So do we know? Milwaukee civilian cowardice, yes. If I were one of the victims' families, I would be desperate for legal action. I just believe it's precluded. Yeah, I think there's going to be a huge amount of legal action, and I think this will act as a schematic for how not to respond to an active shooter in this country. This will show exactly the wrong way to do it, all right? And then we're going to have probably examples of the right way to do it. In Buffalo, they went right in, and in fact, a retired Buffalo police officer confronted the shooter and shot it and lost his life because he actually hit the shooter, but he was wearing body armor, so the shots had no effect. And then the Buffalo police responded right to the scene, disarmed him, and took him into custody. Antonio, a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of lawsuits to come. Yes, there's a big investigation going on, both by Texas law enforcement and the feds. The feds are going to... Aaron Salter Jr. equals a hero. That's the Buffalo, retired Buffalo police officer that shot it out with the active shooter there, who ultimately Aaron Salter lost his life. 100% he's a hero. Richella Plarenzo, while listening, watching, take a moment to hit that. Thank you, Richella, for promoting police off the cuff, real crime stories. Kelly Walk in 2022, I'm stunned this massacre happened. Yeah, well, unfortunately, these incidents occur, and they're going to keep occurring. I don't know what the answer. There's not one answer to stop them. There's many answers. Schmitty, There were lawsuits after Sandy Hook, right? Of course there were. Of course, in Sandy Hook, they actually knocked that school down. Hard to go back into that school in that instance in Sandy Hook after 25-year-olds lost their life. Can you go back and teach? Can you go back and use that hallowed ground as a school after that? I'm wondering if that's going to happen with the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Will they ultimately knock that school down? I wonder that. Again, very difficult to reopen a school where, 19 4th and 5th graders were executed and 2 teachers. So potentially, yeah, they could knock that school down too. We as humans, we just will have a hard time. Antonio, I've heard of Louis Savarese. I don't personally know him. Schmitty, no, definitely not. I think they will knock it down. Susan Deneen, hi from the UK. Amy M, these schools need to be protected like the politicians are protected. I agree, Amy M, you're right. Politicians, they lose track. They really think that, he was in Brooklyn Homicide. Yeah, I know. I've heard of Savarese from Brooklyn Homicide. I never personally met him. I've heard of him though. Guys, this is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube, please go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell. And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. And of course, we have our YouTube family with 5 different levels. Lynn Harvey, there were 4 shooting threats on schools on Long Island in the past 4 days. Yeah, I just mentioned that earlier. And that's another area that we have to be really aware and really heads up, and really, even folks out there, the old see something, say something. If you see something on social media that you think is out of the ordinary, I don't think, Diane McKinn, thank you. After Sandy Hook, I think the weapon manufacturer settled. Lynn Harvey, oh, sorry, I just came on. I think that, these incidents, we have to, like the old adage, if you see something, say something. And that goes for seeing something on social media. If you see some aberrant behavior on social media, someone making threats, report it. Report it to the police. I don't think that Facebook does a very good job, and some of the other social media. They like to censor people with political opinions, but how about reporting this to the police, Diane Krause says she'd knock down that school in a heartbeat. 125 in the chat, 84 thumbs up, guys. Let's get that thumbs up. Let's equal it. Mickey Mantle, it's almost impossible to own a legal firearm here in the UK. As a kid, I got the shotgun taken off me by the police for shooting at pheasants. I got confiscation. But I don't think that there's any country that has it written in their constitution, the right to keep and bear arms. We have that right in our Constitution. There are those that would wish to strike that from our Constitution. But Americans believe in the right to keep and bear arms. And that's what's going to be debated, and who gets to keep and bear arms. Think Adams is going to choose Andre Mitchell, so they say. For what, Rachella? I'm not... Milwaukee civilian, please tell me Jones is not going to go home on this. He has no platform, but he knows. You guys are putting up a lot of political stuff that I'm not up on right now, so I'm not sure. There's a lot of, the guns are. Yeah, Rachel, I read something about that. I find this stuff to be outrageous, this guns are stuff and these violence interrupters. Total crap. Does not work, all right? But they don't want to arrest people for using guns and possessing guns illegally. But they want to have gun czars, and they want to have violence interrupters, all things that there's no proof that it works whatsoever. But they just want to throw money at it. Let's throw money at these violence interrupters, many of whom were criminals themselves. Does that make you feel good? That's who they're going to hire as the gun czar. And I don't know who this gun czar is specifically. I read a blurb on it this morning, but Many of these folks and these violence that are called violence interrupters, many of them were criminals themselves, were gangbangers themselves. Are we supposed to feel, oh, because they were a gangbanger, now they know how to thwart violence themselves? Kelly Walk, a gun czar, it's like a social worker, but it is a whole faction of people that believe in this thing called violence interrupters. And what they are people from the community, many of them with no credentials whatsoever, educationally or in social work or anything, but some of them were former gangbangers, some of them were clergy, some of them were just from the community. And they want to pay these people to infiltrate, or not even infiltrate, but to talk to gangbangers about the evil ways of being violent and the evil ways of using guns to settle their problems. But at the same time, guys, I'm not 100% against this. At the same time, they refuse to arrest anybody. So that's the pathetic part of it, you know? There was a guy, a test case in New York in the last year, was arrested 5 times for gun possession. 5 times. Released every time, not a day of jail. Is that going to prevent crime? Abby, hi Bill, lovely background. Thank you so much. This is the other side of Nypd. Michael Franchese does that in prison. Well, you know something? There's no evidence that it works. If there was evidence, they'd be pouring over the statistics of how it lowered crime here, lowered crime there. It's an idea. And look, we have to try everything. But if you're not willing to prosecute these crimes, then how are you going to prevent it? There's no punishment. There has to be punishment. It's called specific and general deterrence. Specific deterrence is that if someone shoots somebody, they get swift arrest, prosecution, and prison time. All right? That's specific deterrence. You shot somebody, this is the sentence you get. Right? And then there's something called general deterrence. Now the would-be person that's going to use a gun to shoot someone, he saw what happened specifically to the guy who shot someone, and that's generally going to deter him. And there's something in corrections called incapacitation, and that's used for the most egregious, the most violent, the worst crimes, and it's supposed to put them away so that they can't hurt anybody, you know. And that's becoming almost like an extinction. These district attorneys in Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, they're all Soros people. Soros donates money, and they're all from that school of decarceral policies, which simply means they don't want to put anyone in jail or prison. They want to use other ways to punish them. Not even say punishment. Let's use, let's give them programs, mental health programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, drug rehab, anger management. Does any of that work? Is there any proof that any of that works? And I know that it's been being used for years because we have something called parole and probation. How often does that work? Or do people Lieutenant Pete keeps talking about mandatory sentences for certain crimes, and I have to say that I agree with you, Lieutenant Pete. Very, very important that people know that there's punishment. How about at the lower level? Crimes of petty larceny. We've all seen these videos of these smash and grab artists that just go in stores, break a window or break a display, and they just fleece the entire place. And prosecution? They've completely closed stores. CVS on 50th and 8th Avenue in Manhattan had to close because they could not keep up. They couldn't make a profit with the amount of larceny they had from the store. And they reported it. They had security. No one would do anything because the district attorney's office refused to prosecute. Is that what we want our society to get to? That good people that run businesses can't stay in business because criminals are overrunning their store with theft? That's where we're going. that's where we're going in this society. It's ugly. It's very ugly, you know. Bubblegum, hey, how are you, Ed Kelly? Uh, it's uh, it's a lot to think about, guys. When the feds charge people, they win 99.9% of the time. Yeah, I think the federal laws and the federal rules of evidence are a lot more favorable toward the prosecution than the state rules. So the feds, that's why in narcotics cases, when drug sellers would get arrested on federal day, they would be freaking out because they know there was a very good chance they were going to prison or federal prison because they got arrested by the feds. And as they say, the feds don't play. The feds do not play. So amazing. So, one of the things that came about, though, with all these cases, Gonzalo Lopez, no one's talking about him. The escaped prisoner from Texas. It's sort of, that case has gone away. No one's talking about him, are they? Caitlin, the girl who shot the bicyclist, she's in the wind right now. Where is she? Last thing we know is that she took a plane to LaGuardia. No one's seen her since, right? There's all other cases basically have gotten swept under the rug, and we don't hear about them anymore. So it just shows you the news cycle. It just goes and and how about all you guys were following Johnny Depp? Was everyone happy that Johnny Depp? Marva Wright, how are you? Everyone happy that Johnny Depp was issued an award of $15 million from his ex-wife? She has no ability to pay that. And how, I don't understand it totally. She was also found, he was ordered to pay $2 million to her. So, but if you subtract $2 million from $15 million, he's still up $13 million. Who, is anyone going to pay this? Or is this whole, Mary Williamson don't care either way about the trial. I don't either. I didn't follow it. I didn't, but it seemed that it caught the imagination of the whole country. Everyone was watching this thing, and myself or Duty Ron, neither of us covered it because we were like, it was too tabloid-esque, Cheated no more. Notice I'm not hearing anything more about that escapee. Yeah, I just brought that up, cheated no more. I haven't heard a thing either. Gonzalo Lopez, no one seems to know where he is. Antonio says it was reduced to $350,000 by law. Chef Lady, I hope he gives a voice to men who are abused. Potentially. He won, right? He won the case. That was a long trial, too, for a civil trial. Must have been close to 30 days long, right? Long trial for a civil trial. So we're also looking, Caitlin, the woman who shot Mo, the bicyclist, the professional bicyclist, she's in the wind now too. What do we think she is? And the federal marshals have their hands full lately, Chef Lady, in my opinion, they were both abusers. Yeah, I didn't follow it either. But why do things like that so capture? No one watches it, but yet everyone was watching it. It's impossible not to have it in your face at some point. It's like almost like the Kardashians. No one says they follow the Kardashians, yet they have millions of followers on Instagram. And every time they put up an ad for anything, it goes off the charts. But yet no one follows them if you listen to people, It's a phenomena, definitely, of the day and age that we live in with social media. And it's sort of incredible, Kim Alliston, Kelly Walk, exactly. I was determined not to watch. But it was covered, not just, even if you didn't watch, it was covered by a lot of social media people, Pauline Buckles is admitting to watching the Kardashians in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, obviously lots of people watch them because they're off the charts, right? Kardashians are government propaganda tools. The truth. Mickey Mantle says, I follow police off the cuff always. That's it. Give that thumbs up, guys. Follow police off the cuff. Get off the Kardashians. Get off of Johnny Depp and follow follow police off the cuff. I'll show you me garden and I'll show you me pool. And we'll have a good discussion around lunchtime, right? So, guys, tonight, again, I'm going to just repeat this, and I'm on the air for 40 minutes. I'm going to get ready to sign off. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Police Off the Cuff, live on YouTube. Nassau County Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, former Yonkers Police Commissioner Edmund Hartnett. We will be discussing the Uvalde active shooter and active shooters in general, and some of the innovative things that Nassau County is doing in response to active shooters. Guys, I want you to have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in now, and I hope you tune in tonight at 9 o'clock. Have a great day, and God bless.